Hi, good afternoon. So this is going to be kind of like our last server configuration. So we are going to be talking about SSH, which is the Secure Shell, and it's going to be for the class Cyber 4220 for the fall 2020. Now, the first thing we'll discuss is what is SSH. SSH is also known as Secure Shell. It is used to secure the remote login from one computer to another. It also provides a different option for stroke authentications. It helps with providing it protects the communication security and integrity with strong encryption. Is also a secure alternative to a non-protected login protocols like the Telnet and the FTP, as well as the remote shells also. And there are three components when it comes to SSH. There are three components that is involved in it. We have the connecting protocol, which is what helps create a distinct data stream from a single client server connection. The authenticated protocol, which help authenticate the user to the server, and it also confirm the identity of the agent using the server. While it also with the authentication, like the SSL file that we are getting, it's kind of like that. It helps to get the SSL certificate that is needed from server to the user too. And the last must not be the least is the transport layer protocol, which is used as to authenticate the server and establish confidentiality and integrity. It should be held with a perfect forward secrecy, meaning that even whenever, what this means, the perfect forward secrecy, what it means that whenever there's a breach in a particular server, it does not affect the other one. So the next one we have is what we call use is how to use is the use of SSH protocol. Is the part that it provides secure access to users and automated process it. SSH is a network that protects data against overt form of cyber attack perpetrated by system attackers. SSH client is the program that runs SSH protocol from a specific device in order to access a remote machine like the VPN. SSH can also be used to create a secure tunnel for another applications protocols, and SSH server by default listing on the standard on the CTP port 22, and is also used for connecting a remote host for a terminal section. Another uses of this is the fact that it secures different type of communication between local machine and remote host. It also helps with managing routers, server, hardware, and operation system. The last but not the least, SSH keys can be employed to automate access to servers, often are used in script, backup system, and the configuration management tools. So like whenever you're creating a certificate keys, like for configuration of data to get it much more secure, yes, it is a the SSH key that provided that. Okay, so this is actually I have to get the photograph, the diagram that shows exactly how SSH works. So if you should look at this diagram, it is called the client server model. And one thing about it is that the first thing that happened is that the client sent message to the server. Okay, so once the client send the message to the server like this, and the server also agrees, so the server look at, and it gives server the supported protocol. Once it gives the server the supported protocol as it sent it in, the server now go back and send it back, stating that it agrees to the protocol. And after agreeing to the protocol, then it give this, once it agreed to the protocol, it give the server the supported protocol, everything that can be used to support the protocol, all the configuration that you need. Then later, the server creates a certificate that support the protocol itself. Once all the certificate has been created, like a keys and everything, then what now happen is that the client, the server now send it back to the client. The client now verifies certificate public key to make sure that it is working, which is when you're now seeing the testing that is being used, the telnet that is being used to test any protocol to make sure that it's working exactly the way it's supposed to work. Then the client now choose the encryption type and authentication. Then the client now authenticated. So the client authenticates server and generate a section key SK. So that is what is saying here when it comes to the client verifying the certificate. Okay. So this is just like a brief diagram that explains everything that happens in the client protocol. Next, when it comes to configuration for Ubuntu this time around, we are going to be using what we call OpenSSH. And by definition, SSH is a connectivity tool used for remote login with SSH protocol. It comes in two double-loaded distribution, which is a native OpenBSC distribution and a multi-platform portable distribution. It's actually developed by the OpenBSC project, and then it is made available under the BSD style license. It helps with secure connection. It provides authentication method and configuration to protocols. It also had S S the SFTP and the SSTP server, which implement an easier solution for the file transfer. It also helps encrypt all traffic by eliminating attacks from getting into the server. So the next thing we're going to discuss is how to configure it. Technically, the configuration is actually very simple. As um, it's not as complicated as the database, or it's not as complicated as the Progress SQL. So for this one, you just have to make sure that you update. After the updating, you upgrade whatever need to be updated in the server to make sure everything is up to date. Then later you install the Open SSH client and the Open SSH server. Then after installing it to make sure everything is okay, then the next thing you're going to do is to check to make sure that the server is running, and you're going to use what we call a system control status to find out if it's running. Make sure that it's running on the system. Then the next thing you are going to make sure is to log into remote server. So you to log into remote server with this particular code written here, which is SSH username at public underscore I your IP address. So the public underscore IP address is actually your IP address. Your username at your IP address, and you said you want it to go to be used at port 222. Then what port 222 means is actually is the same thing as saying that is a secure version of the port 22. So once you have actually done that, then you will have now create a IP table, like kind of like a firewall table that will allow all traffic to from anywhere to anywhere to pass through the port 222. Okay. The next thing we are going to discuss is how to hardening the hardening recommendation of OpenSSH. One, disable the root. Once you disable the root, the root cannot evoke remotely and cannot be evoked remotely, and security will be improved significantly by using the protocol. Once you get here, once you get to the configuration of the OpenSSH itself, you change the root login from yes, you change it to no. The next thing you have to do is to configure the IP table to allow any port 22, port 222. See? Then the next thing you have to do is that you have to set idle timeout interval to set the time the SSH session can sit on idle. You have to disable the empty password. This will allow accounts without password not to be allowed into the server. The next thing you have to do is disable the X11 forwarding, that is forwarding if on GUI interface, which will stop anyone from tunneling GUI application by SSH. And you have to set a limit to the authentication, meaning that when you're logging in, the amount of time you can log in into the system. So once you made a mistake and it has passed the amount of time, it would log you out. So this way again will prevent brute attack force. Okay. Another thing when it comes to the hardening recommendation of OpenSSH is that you have to make sure that you give limited people the login information. I mean, you know, there's this thing called less is more. So the lesser people have access into your information for the login information, the safer the server is itself. You also have to enable the hash no host to keep signature key to be um, unseen and unknown actually. So once it is unseen and unknown, nobody can actually go into the system to make any changes to it without your permission, and any attackers that are coming in will not be able to see what the signature key is, because you already have it enabled. And you also have to now you also have to know that by restricting the allowable command, it makes it so that only the authorized key file can be used. So without the authorized key file, no certificate can be used, only the one that you've created. All right. Thank you very much, and these are my reference. You have a wonderful day, and I hope this class has been fun so far. I hope you have more fun as time goes on. Thank you.